The finance minister yesterday, he was speaking as well about the IMF deal, especially, and the fact that there's a 5-member committee that has been put together consisting of some prominent financial service professionals who lead extensive stakeholder engagements across all the key segments of the financial sector, and they'll make it as transparent as possible. And he also talks about the fact that they're going to ensure that key aspects of the program are reflected in the 2023 annual budget statement in November 2022. The IMF team is back in town, and so between now and November, that means that we have a very limited time to agree on whatever it is that we can agree on between us and the IMF. But is that enough time? Let's listen to the finance minister quickly, and we'll come back and discuss this.
The IMF and government team are working to update the medium-term macro-fiscal framework to inform IMF program design. Also, the government team and the IMF team are discussing policy measures and structural reforms, proposing an economic program aimed at addressing the economic challenges facing the country. With regards to the committee, no, it will not delay. We expect them to be able to come up with input ideas as to where we should be going.
And that's Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, the finance minister of Ghana. Let's start off with you, because he's saying that we're going to ensure that we at least include some key aspects of this deal in the 2023 budget statement. That will be read, we're told, on November 15. Between now and November 15, is that enough time? Is it feasible to actually agree on an IMF deal? Because we know that usually it takes between 6 months at least to agree on some deal with the IMF.
Bella, the engagements with IMF started, they came here earlier to gather information and pick up whatever they want to say. Now they are here for an engagement and negotiations. A lot of work has been done in that regard. And even before they came in, government also has the responsibility to put in certain measures and interventions to assuage the situation. It's not like just because the president has directed the finance minister to engage IMF, everything comes to a halt till IMF comes. Even before we started engaging IMF, there was a 30% cut for discretionary expenditure. There was a moratorium on statutory payments. We had salary cuts and other things for appointees. Bank of Ghana started a special auction for bulk oil distributors and all that. So there have been interventions to contain the situation whilst we go up. The GRA also has intensified their activities to shore up domestic resource mobilization. So there have been a lot of effort that has gone into making sure we still sustain it. And those interventions, showed in our growth for Q1 and Q2. Yeah. We grew by 3.4 in Q1 and 4.8 in Q2. Yeah. So whilst we engage IMF, there's a lot of work that has been done. So if all this has been put in place based on the negotiations, based on the plans that have been put together, the committee that has been set up to engage all the players so that everybody's concerns are brought on board. I mean, if all these things have been put in place and the finance minister says trying the best to expedite the negotiations to put those things, because the budget is the one-stop shop for measuring some of our expenditure and our spending. Because you take the budget, Parliament approves it, passes the appropriation bill, and spending can be done legally. So if that's the way we want to do, I think is a step in the right direction. And with all the work that is going on, with all the efforts that the teams are putting in, and the finance ministers saying, I think all players should put in their best foot so we can get this done and done properly.
But there are concerns that, the IMF was going to ensure that we do a debt restructuring, looking at our debt portfolio at the moment. But the finance minister is telling us that that is not what is happening now.
When you are in debt distress and all that, there are options. you either default or restructure your bill. It's just like you going to take a loan for a business. Then the business doesn't turn out the way you planned it. You go to your bankers and you negotiate the terms and the payment plans. But this can be done without a debt sustainability analysis, because if you're going to negotiate for that, they need to also be sure that whatever we are negotiating, whatever restructuring will be given, plan will be given, can be sustained and also not bring us back to where we are now. And that analysis is still ongoing. So for anybody to say IMF will insist on us, it's still not something that anybody can say emphatically until the analysis is completed.
So we're not ruling out debt restructuring necessarily.
It's an option.
It could happen
when it comes
because
to
if you look at
it's an option. But until you have the analysis completed, pointing to what the best option will be, you can't make an emphatic statement on the fact that there will be debt restructuring.
How transparent are you being about all of this? Because there are also stakeholders who have complained that a lot of the information is being kept away from, from the public especially, and from the people who are supposed to be in the know on what exactly the deal with government and IMF is. All that has been kept in the dark.
When IMF came in, IMF themselves released a statement. Government released a statement. When they came in on the 26th, government released a statement on the way going forward. Just yesterday, the finance minister outlined all that is being done and what the approaches will be. The IMF PRO has also been talking. So I don't know how transparent this can be. And the committee has also been set to engage all stakeholders within the space. So if stakeholders are complaining, I think now that it's been made clear that there's a body that is leading this interaction, it's easy to reach out to them if they haven't reached out to you. But these are people within the space. The committee is made up of players within the sector, and I believe they will touch on every aspect of the sector and reach out to all the stakeholders. So it's something that we all need to be interested in, just as we are being carried along. We shouldn't sit there and wait for it to come to an end before we start asking questions. The finance ministry is there, the BOJ is there, all those other stakeholders are there. And these things have been outlined clearly. I mean, yesterday, people asked questions. I remember one of the journalists even asked when this is going to end. And the finance minister said that was a very big question. So everybody has been brought on board. This is a nation that is in a situation that touches on all of us. We all go to the same markets. We all go to the same place. We are in this country. When the situation is solved, it's solved for all of us. So let's all, just as we are being brought on board, let's all show interest and make sure that we get it right.
Okay. Nana, are you satisfied with the level of transparency so far and the fact that the minister says that with this 5-member committee, they are going to engage as much as possible and carry people along as we agree on a deal with IMF?
My dear, when you were asking the question, my mind was somewhere else. Because I am surprised at this inclusion of everybody.
How are you surprised?
Yes, because when this whole thing started, when this mismanagement issues with the economy, the CPP, civil society that they are going to, the Trade Union Congress asked for an economic dialogue. Before we even go to wherever we want to go to. What has happened that today, after you have taken your decision, without allowing Ghanaians to make input, now you say that you are going to do what? A transparent engagement is your focus. Bella, how is that? If they truly wanted to engage Ghanaians, why didn't they engage Ghanaians from the very beginning? And now that they have taken the decision to go to IMF, already we got up one morning, they didn't tell us anything. 2 weeks before the announcement, the finance minister said that Ghana is a proud nation and we're not going to IMF. Then, we get up in the morning, then the announcement is there. What has changed that today they need our input? They are even specific about the people they are going to engage. You see, NPP they should remember that Ghana is not a crowd. When my sister was talking, she said that they released statements. How many people do even understand those statements? But every policy decision that is taken through this program affects 32 million people. Affects 32 million people. Some of them are living in Inzulezu, living on stilts. Some of them are living in Mampong, in Ashanti, in Ekwapim. Some of them are living in Drobonso. Some of them are living in Tatale, Walewale, Nalerugu. And these are the people who voted for the NPP. So if they are going to take decisions, they should do a broader consultation. After you finish taking your decision, what do you need me for?
They shouldn't engage you as they move along?
Engage me to do what? When you were going to do the program, you didn't even, you see, I remember Mr. Kwampianim one day on TV3. He was talking about the need for them to engage. It is possible even if they had engaged, maybe we wouldn't have gone to IMF. Because he said categorically, specifically, he said, I've been calling the finance minister, he is not responding to my calls. And that is a very, very intelligent person, experienced economist. He could help. They didn't engage people from the beginning. Why are they now going to engage people? Number two, we are a bit surprised that the person who led the mismanagement is the same person leading the IMF program.
Who would you have expected to do this job?
We all said that we should find somebody else to do it in
like
government.
Who? Like
It could be anybody, any
like?
Good person, a team of people. Is he the only person? He has a deputy. There are other people. You go to parliament, there are parliamentarians in the finance committee. The president himself.
Will the president have time to lead this?
What
there's a lot on his table. The finance minister is the one that runs.
But the finance minister has brought us here. If you have a wife who is always cooking bad food for you and you get sick and you continue eating that bad food, you get sick, and when you get sick, the same person continues to cook for you. Bella, I'm asking you. You get sick and the same person. How do we know that he's not going to look after his own interests? He's not going to make sure that he protects himself.
Who would you have recommended if you have to mention a name? Because you obviously don't think that he's the right person.
I don't think he's the right person. There was a man who was on TV. I've forgotten his name. He was on TV3, I think 2-3 days ago. And he's an NPP person.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
I think I've forgotten his name.
Yes, I've forgotten his name. And that man came out very good. There should be some neutrality. Because this is the same person who brought us where we are today. And he's the same person leading the team. He's the same person. And me, I'm a bit confused about what they mean by transparency. What do they mean by transparency today? Inclusion. When we spoke about inclusion, the CPP said it. Let's go for a discourse. Let's go and talk about the economy. You said no. You don't need anybody. Now why do you need us?
Mr. Dynamo is who you were talking about?
Yes, Mr. Dynamo.
Yeah.
Brilliant guy. Brilliant guy. Bring some neutrality into it. I don't know if it is written anywhere, claused, that whoever leads the team should be the Minister for Finance. If it is claused and tight in IMF negotiations, then there's not much we can say. But there are people who can lead it. Mr. Kwampianim, he's experienced. He knows what it is. He's been around.
But do you think they'll call him to come and lead the team when he's the same one who has talked about the fact that the finance minister was incompetent?
That is what I am saying. So this is not, you see, this is not about one person or a group of people. Bella, this is about Ghana. And Ghana is made up of the opposition, the people in government, civil society. It's made up of everybody. When he was listing his people, I did not see opposition political parties. He says CSOs. I did not see opposition political parties. But for nothing at all, Setepe has done it before. Dr. Kwesi Bocho has done it before. Mr. Kwame Pepra has done it before. We, the CPP, we have done it before. We have ruled this nation before. The PNC is there. Everybody has something to say. Their heads are no coconut. Everybody has something to say. So in this matter, it shouldn't be political. Bella, my issue here, and I have a problem. This one I'm reading it verbatim. I wouldn't say it for somebody to say that I didn't get it right. He said the areas that they want to deal with, physical debt sustainability, inclusive growth, social protection, structural reforms. I didn't hear fiscal prudence. I didn't hear accountability. The fact that this government has not been prudent, that is why we are here today. Nobody should mention Ukraine and COVID. If you get COVID and you are giving 2-point-something billion to manage your economy, you are not bad at all.
Okay.
Ukraine doesn't grow cassava. Plantain and cassava are expensive. Ukraine, their currency is stronger than ours. The country at war. I did not see fiscal prudence. I did not see accountability, which is very key to what we are going through.
Okay.
Even in an IMF program, if we are going to go to behave the way we are, stick with the status quo behavior, then we are not getting anywhere. My dear, this is serious business.
All right.
And we need to be serious.
Indeed, and I'll let Daniel speak on this matter shortly, but Gabriela, pardon me, let's just take a break. And when we get back, we'll have Gabriela touch on this matter as well. Keep watching. Welcome back. It's still the big issue on TV3 New Day. Gabriela Tete speaks on behalf of the NDC, and Nanaya Chimpim Jantwa is the General Secretary for the CPP. Lerato Musa Saka is here on behalf of the NPP. We're talking about the IMF deal and the fact that the Finance Minister has indicated that they will introduce, of course, a level of transparency to ensure that everyone is carried along as we negotiate. And we'll try and negotiate before November so that we can inculcate key aspects of the deal in our 2023 budget statement. Gabriela, what do you make of the statements made by the Finance Minister?
Okay, so in conclusion of the booing,
We're going back to the
culture,
booing.
it was the culture. It was the culture that was started by the MPP, and so if today it has manifested as a phenomenon in our society, it is on their heads. They should deal with it. Then on the IMF deal. In 2014, when we requested for a fund program, remember we requested mid-2014, but we actually got the program 2015. So it's not a given that because we are, the finance minister has to read the budget in November, there's going to be a finality on the negotiations by November. These things take time. And it's also subject to the approval of the executive board. So it's still early days yet. They are still doing the DSA assessment. Now, on the DSA, I would like to read something that the fund put out.
Okay.
In the 2021 report, this DSA is a joint analysis that is done by the IMF and the World Bank together.
Okay.
So in the 2021 fund, the staff report, this is what...
Have you found it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the last DSA published the 2021 Article 4 staff report concluded that public debt was sustainable conditional on a rigorous and credible implementation of the authority's medium-term consolidation plan to put debt on a declining trajectory and ensure continued market access. Now, in 2022, we lost access to the market because the debt, they could not deal with the debt, and it became a problem. And that's actually why we are here. I hate to tell the MPP that we hate to tell you so, but in actual fact, we told you so. And instead of going on press conference and finance minister trying to turn NDC into demons, you should actually be showing us more gratitude. We showed him this path. Despite all their protests that they will not go on a fund program, today this is your only choice. And that should also tell you that we in the NDC, we think a lot about this country, and we know where the country is headed to. Now, Bella, the fact of the matter really is that at the heart of this challenge is the debt. We have overborrowed. And now, because we have no access to the international market, it's even telling on our currency. And because we've overborrowed so much in foreign currencies also, the depreciation just, unfortunately, just expands our country's debt exposure and hence the risk of defaulting to our creditors. And that's why we are in this critical situation. But who do you blame? You want the same finance minister who has benefited $180 million from the borrowing to lead the fund negotiation program? $180 million. The man is now a billionaire on the back of your taxes and your sweat. He's now worth $1,860 million Ghana cedis.
From his company being the book runner?
Yes.
But
Yes,
we've
from
heard from
Data
government
Bank.
communicators who have said that what is wrong if it's Data Bank that is being the book runner? Because under the NDC, Data Bank was still the book runner.
Yeah, but there's conflict
For
of interest.
years.
We've been telling you about conflict of interest from the time the man became finance minister. And if he really had this country at heart, he and his Wafa Akufo-Addo, he would have stood aside long time ago. I've been saying that the man must step aside. Nobody has been paying attention to me. If he was really, instead of coming to quote me Bible quotations, if people speak with one voice and one accord, and then the same person, when he's starting his press conference, starts by referencing NDC's going to the IMF for an ECF program in 2014 as one of the reasons why we are here. When he came into office, he is the same person who extended our ECF facility to 2019. Today, he is the same person who's also in the same IMF for the same program. But the difference is he's even going for more money, $3 billion. And the other unfortunate part of his, which he doesn't want to make reference to, is that we did not tell our creditors, we are going to give you nice haircuts because we can't pay you. We paid whoever we owed. We renegotiated terms of interest, terms of payback. We managed to give this country some fiscal space going into the program. So it was very easy for the executive board to approve our facility. Fast forward, with them, we are now going to see if they can approve. It is not a done deal yet. It's the analysis from the debt sustainability proposals that is going to tell us where we really stand.
So
as
debt
a country.
restructuring is not off the table.
Debt restructuring is not off the table. But the question is, when you look at the pillars that they are building their program on, if you look at one, debt sustainability, obviously, as I said, that is the crunch of the issue. The second is fiscal consolidation, which also has a relationship with the debt sustainability. Now, fiscal consolidation, this is referencing to policies that are going to help you to reduce your debt. Are you increasing revenue? Are you cutting down on expenditure? Are you going to use monetary policy instruments to support government in the fiscal consolidation process? All these proposals that come under that thematic pillar. Strengthening monetary and exchange rate policies. Obviously, how is going to get more dollars into the economy to show up the CD? What was the proposals for protecting people's investments and all that? Building strong financial institutions, obviously. Macro critical structural reforms, what we've been talking about forever. But I think that we need to go beyond having conversations to actually implementing those proposals.
Okay.
If you look at the NDC, one of our strong selling points during that period was the investment that we put into the gas infrastructure to save this economy some $300 million and also to help build our exports base. Also, the investment we put into the 2 additional oil wells that came to support the country's growth 2017 to 2020 prior to COVID. And thanks to the mismanagement of President Akufo-Addo and his Goro boys, today we find ourselves in this mess. Maintaining peace and security. They are afraid of the coup. But
is that what it really is?
They say money doesn't like noise. So since we are all Ghanaians and we are patriots and we are nationalists, we all support in the maintaining peace and security. And then, of course, the economic growth and transformation, very key. At the heart of this problem that the economy faces is because we have challenges with foreign currency and a strong dollar and how it's beating us. On the issue of Ukraine and Russia, this is what the fund said about that particular issue. It says, it's a program the result of the spillover from the war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine has triggered a global economic shock that is hitting Ghana at a time when the government's room for maneuver is already greatly limited. The shock compounds other pressing policy challenges, including debt vulnerabilities, the COVID-19's pandemic social and economic legacy, and the ongoing tightening of global monetary policy conditions, which increases the cost of international borrowing. But at the heart of it, two things: debt, and how we manage the debt.
Okay.
Government economic policy has to change. We need to go from consumption to investment and trading.
Yeah.
And that is how we're going to lift this economy. But I'd like to tell Mr. Oforiatta and President Akufo-Addo that, you see, when you want people from the opposition side to come and speak with you with one voice, and you think that you are going to cover it up with Bible quotations, for us, we are not impressed with Bible quotations. We are looking at the content of your character. And if you are a beneficiary of the challenges that this country is experiencing, and you want to cover up that with Bible quotations, it's unto you. Bible tells us that by their fruits we shall know them. The same Bible also tells me that Jesus Christ, some men approached Jesus and they asked him, who's going to go to heaven? Jesus Christ said something. He says that, some people said, but it's not in your name that we cast out demons. And in Christianity, that's one of the most strongest jobs, to cast out demons. So if the approach said, Jesus said, well, not in your name that we cast out demons. Jesus came and said, please be gone from me. I don't know you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. And this is all time will allow for us to discuss this matter. Lerato, why are you looking at me like that? That's all time will allow, unfortunately. I know I would have wished that you'd give a response, but unfortunately. But everybody has gotten the chance to speak, so we've treated everyone fairly. Anyway, so Lerato Musa Saka, she's looking at me.
The three-man panel doesn't help us.
I know.
You learn us the things we want to say.
Anyway, so Lerato Musa Saka speaks on behalf of the NPP. Nanaya Chimpim Jatwa is the General Secretary of the CPP, and Gabriela Tete is a member of the NDC communications team. And that's it for the big issue, probably brought to you by Niche Chocolate and Niche Cocoa Drink. Later, we have an exclusive with the European Union Ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Richard Razali. And so look forward to that conversation. We have sports, entertainment, and so much more. Keep watching.